I'm gonna be 100% honest. When this movie dropped on HBO Max or in theaters, wherever you guys saw this movie, I I had my doubts. I had my doubts because I wasn't 100% on board. I wasn't 100% certain, I should say. I wasn't 100% certain that this movie was going to pull off, was going to be a hit. Cuz Batman v Superman was a downer. And if I remember correctly, that movie also came out in March, so yeah, I had my doubts. I had my doubts for this one. I mean, the 2014's Godzilla, I liked it. I agree with a lot of people that for a movie called Godzilla, there is very little Godzilla in it, but I thought, considering where the monster verse was at the time, because if I'm correct, we had the last big monster movie was King Kong in the early 2000s. So I felt like they were just trying to just slowly get back into the mix. Which, and then, they had Kong Skull Island, which I really like that movie. I mean, there are things wrong with it, but I overall enjoyed that. King of the Monsters was really awesome because it had awesome monster fights. And that movie pretty much told me, yeah, the people, they really don't care. When they made the producers don't really care about the human aspect. They're just like, we need people to explain things and move the story along so that way we can get to the big show, which is Godzilla literally killing all the other monsters and taking his rightful place as king. And now we have this. And I'll say this. The first 15 minutes of this film, if you sit through the first 15 minutes of the film and say to yourself, I don't know, you're gonna you'll finish this film saying, okay, everything with the monsters was awesome, everything with the humans was stupid. That's kind of what this movie. I mean, okay. I thought this movie was awesome. I really. I mean, it gives you what you want. Kong. You literally get your fight between Godzilla versus Kong. You get two of them. You get your first round in the middle of the ocean, and then you get your second round in Hong Kong. Those are both really awesome fights. I know they... Okay. So, as an overall film, it's nothing spectacular. It's nothing like... I mean, it's pretty much when you hear the words Godzilla versus Kong, all you really are looking for is the battle between Godzilla versus Kong. And so that pretty much is the focus. I mean, that's pretty much the focus I felt like they had on this film. And, obviously there was a lot of cool things introduced in this film and that I thought were really cool. Like, I mean, well, there were two things that were introduced, and that's the sub stories, because the main story is Godzilla is seemingly attacking people for no reason. We obviously know there's a reason, because, you got this corporation that says, we're here to help people, and I'm like, well, in this universe, I don't believe you, so... Yeah, you have that plot, you have Billy Bobby Brown, the girl from Stranger Things. I don't know why I forgot her name. The girl from Stranger Things who was in King of the Monsters. She's back in this one. She basically investigates this new this facility, Apex, Apex Cybernetics. Yeah, Apex Cybernetics. Yeah, take a wild guess what they're making there. So she's basically doing the Godzilla subplot, while Monarch slash Apex is doing the King Kong subplot. And the King Kong subplot, I'll admit, I kind of like the King Kong subplot a little bit better, because I felt like the Godzilla subplots, if you could have, I think we all kind of had a feeling it was coming. I mean, I don't think there would have been a build. I don't think the build up to it was that good. I mean, don't get me wrong, once we see what the heck Apex Cybernetics is working on, it's freaking awesome. But I felt like it could have been done a little bit better. Maybe if they just straight up like what are you planning? And it's like, we're planning to make humanity the apex predator once again. And it's like, really, that's kind of, again, it's Apex Cybernetics. You kind of have a feeling what they're making. So the overall movie, I don't know. This kind of felt weird, because if I'm correct, yeah. So the main plot of this film is, yeah, Godzilla attacks Apex Cybernetics, and the public thinks he's turning bad, including Monarch. So they think, some people think like, oh, Kong should go up against him, and they're like, well, no, we can't have Kong go up against him because we don't want that. And part of the reason is because Kong has been on Skull Island. He's been in this facility this whole time. That's why he didn't show up in King of the Monsters, and it's legit. It's a legit good reason. So they think the only way to truly beat Godzilla, and this is thanks to Apex Cybernetics, is they persuade Monarch to go to Hollow Earth, which is this theoretical, so basically it's kind of like Journey to the Center of the Earth. That's basically what this is, except it's cooler. I really like this. I really like this design of Hollow Earth. Like, once they get there, because I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But it's like, basically, it's like Interstellar and Inception. It's just like really something that Christopher Nolan felt like was a part of, because it's just, you have like the land literally like this. You have one side, you have this inverted with the gravity, and it's just like, what the heck is this place? And it's really, really cool, and it's really creative, and I really hope we get to see more of this place. And I think with how they leave this movie, we're gonna, I don't know. The people on King Kong's side, I felt, were really cool. I like the dynamic between the little girl who's deaf and the lady that's with her. I really like their dynamic. I also love how Kong is beginning to learn sign language. I think that was a really cool moment, and I think that's a really cool way to make him more of a character than just, a giant gorilla who King Kong is, we know he's not a mindless beast, but I like how this adds to his character. It's like he actually can communicate with people now more than he could before. So, yeah, I mean, really, just this, it's interesting, because it's like, part of this movie, it's like, yeah, it's like, the main focus isn't really Godzilla versus Kong at first, but then it pretty much becomes Godzilla versus Kong later on, because they, once Monarch and Apex complete their mission, that's pretty much when we're like, okay, now we can focus on Kong and Godzilla. But I like how they don't hold the fight all the way to the end. I like how they actually give you a fight early on. And again, it's a pretty solid fight, but it's kind of at the same time a tease. It's like they're like teasing you with the fight. It's not I mean, it's shot really well. I think this director knew how to shoot these fights. I was like, wow, these are awesome shots. Like, so the first fight, it's on the boats. It's on this, Kong's on a freighter, and there's military launch ships everywhere, and so God is, and I like how in this one, I mean, one of the reasons why Batman vs. Superman didn't work is because you knew why Batman wanted to fight Superman, but you didn't know why Superman hated Batman and I mean, we knew why he had to fight him, because, Martha. Oh god, there's a scene in this movie that was like, okay, never mind. So I like on this one, basically, yeah, Godzilla is the king of the monsters, so once he knows that there is another monster out there, he would go and fight him to maintain his basic title. So when Kong is obviously on the boat in the middle of the ocean, which is where Godzilla usually likes to swim around, he of course is going to notice that there is something up, and so he goes and he basically fights Kong. And yeah, I mean, at first I wasn't sure if the fight was gonna work, because I was like, okay, they're just teasing. Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of a tease, the first fight with between the two, because there is a good chunk of it that is taking place underwater, and obviously for Kong that is a huge disadvantage for him, because Godzilla practically is unstoppable underwater, and he almost does get Kong in underwater. But when they're actually on top of the boats and they're battling there, it's pretty awesome. I think my two favorite shots in the whole sequence were not even from the fights. It was just the jets. The first one, like when the ship is slowly tilting like this. We get a first person perspective. We get that front camera shot of the jet taking off, and we just see him. He's basically like, I'm out of here. It's such a cool shot. And then there's another one where Kong grabs one of the jets and throws it at Godzilla, but there's a pilot in the ship, and the ship is spinning like this going at Godzilla, and the pilot literally ejects himself out of the seat, and just, it's so cool. It was so awesome. And yeah, I mean, it's Godzilla beats Kong in the first fight. Like, he gives Kong he definitely does the number on Kong, and like I said, he almost beat him by drowning him. But the humans actually bailed them out. They launched these underwater, like, seismic charges, I guess, or something, and just, it was enough to get Godzilla to freak and Kong to get back on the boat. And so they shut down all the power, and they had to basically make it look like that Godzilla won, and he has nothing left to worry about, so he leaves. And so the humans have to carry Kong by air the rest of the way. There's you have a shot of just them carrying him with I'd say about 24 choppers. They're carrying him, and they get to Antarctica, which is where Hollow Earth is. And like I said, I really like that story with them going to Hollow Earth, finding where Kong came from, and seeing that his people, his kind ruled this Hollow Earth, and it seems like Godzilla's kind were their enemies, if I have to be correct. Again, part of the thing with this movie is visual storytelling, because obviously your two main characters in this is a giant gorilla and a giant freaking lizard. So you're not gonna get a lot of communication out of the two when it comes to you as an audience member being like, what do they say? So I think for the most part, yeah, they're ancient rivals, so it would make sense that they are fighting like this. And all the while, again, the Godzilla plot, the subplot, you can technically pass it. Okay, so basically the whole plot is them trying to figure out what it was that Apex was working on, and by this pretty cool underground, like not hydro loop, like some kind of cool transportation system that literally takes them from Florida to Hong Kong in like, I want to say like a matter of hours. I don't even know. It's basically they get there and they find out what exactly Apex is working on, and big shock, it's Mechagodzilla, and oh my god, it's Mechagodzilla. I'll admit the design of him was a little interesting. I mean, it's not a full-on replica of Godzilla. It looks like him, but what was up with the hands? That was a weird design. Like it looks like the hands look like like the claw from freaking Toy Story. It's like one of those claw game things. Like that's pretty much what the hands are, except thicker claws. It's like, and so it seemed, and so apparent. But the only thing about the Mechagodzilla is they don't have the power source. Or maybe they do, and they just don't know the correct frequency to unlock the full power, because when they're down at Hollow Earth, they were searching for the power source, or like of what, of this world, and they find it, they drill it, they get a sample, but they don't send it up. They send the information up, and they get the data, and I'm guessing it's basically, I don't know. And another thing that they do is there's so they do find the group Stranger Things girl and this podcaster who he's funny-ish here and there, and then the Russell from Deadpool 2, or the fat kid who has fire powers. That kid, they find this other room where they figure out how Godzilla is actually being operated, Mechagodzilla is being operated, and that's the parent, the son of the I don't remember his name, the dude in King of the Monsters who he sacrificed himself, and he also had the line of like, wait, so is Godzilla gonna be our pet? And he's like, no, we will be his. It's like that guy. His son is operating Mechagodzilla by he's using the head of Ghidorah, because he had multiple heads, they figured out he was able to telepathically communicate with each one. So they used the telepathy of Ghidorah's head to connect with the Mechagodzilla, and that's how they're controlling it. Clever. Really questioning how that works, but clever. And yeah, so but again, it really doesn't even, I mean, they really try to justify this subplot with like even the way that okay, so right. So while Mechagodzilla is being worked on in Hong Kong, Godzilla senses it. He senses Mechagodzilla in Hong Kong, so he goes to Hong Kong. But at the same time, when he gets to Hong Kong and he heads for the facility, but then he feels something going on down there in Kong activates something in Hollow Earth, which triggers something in Godzilla, and then all of a sudden he just fires down towards Hollow Earth. Like he literally just blasts his way into the center of the freaking planet. And there's this cool shot of Godzilla looking down in the hole and just letting out his roar and scream, and then you just have King Kong. You just have Kong looking down the hole as well, and he's got this new axe, which is really cool. And he just roars at him, like, yeah! And so that's how we get, and then that's how the second fight pretty much begins. And yeah, the fight in Hong Kong is pretty cool. I mean, yeah, actually, yeah, it's freaking awesome. It's a freaking awesome fight. I mean, it's what you would want. It's what you want. You want Godzilla and King Kong battling it out in a city. It's so freaking cool. Sorry. It's cool. It's awesome. It's very entertaining, and for the most part, I was entertained. I loved every single second of this fight. I thought it was creative with how they battled each other, the way that Kong and Godzilla were able to, they were able to get a jump on each other, but eventually Kong seemingly beats Godzilla by knocking him out, and they even say like, looks like Kong took round 2. I'm like, really? You were, I mean, okay, but then it's like, it's not like it doesn't even feel like a third round starts. It feels like you're still continuing from the second round. I mean, they cut back to the group at Apex, you know, figuring out, oh, Mecha Godzilla is being worked on. We gotta figure out how to shut this down and stuff. And then they cut back to Godzilla and getting back up, and he's battling Kong, and then Godzilla gets them jump on Kong, and he has him pinned down to the ground. He's got his foot on his chest. He literally, like, Kong's got all these slash marks on his chest. He's pretty much beaten, and then they do this one last roar. And I'm just gonna say it, if there's not a video on YouTube yet where the line of dialogue between them hasn't been replaced with kill him, Martin. I'm sorry, that's all I saw in that moment. You just have Godzilla on top. He's got his foot on Kong's chest, and he's just looking down on him, and I'm just like, God, Jesus Christ, this is Batman v Superman right now. I mean, luckily, basically what happened, I mean, Godzilla pretty much beats Kong, and Kong almost dies. He almost dies. And I say almost because they are able to bring him back to life because they had these futuristic ships that they use to get to Hollow Earth, and it's enough power to light up Vegas for a week. So they figured that if they could cause a charge, an explosion, or something like that, it would be enough to Kong to jump stutter his heart, which it does, and so Kong gets back up. And all the while this is going on, Mechagodzilla goes rogue. Because when they got the power sample from Hollow Earth and transferred to Apex, then they were able to fully power Mechagodzilla, but they said they wasn't sure what would happen, and we find out what happens. And from what I've heard online, I think people said that Ghidorah took control of Mechagodzilla, which in my mind would be freaking amazing. And I think that's the only logical one, because Mechagodzilla goes nuts. It destroys part of the facility. It breaks out into Hong Kong, starts decimating the city, and then Godzilla has to fight it. So you have your climax, which is Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and then eventually King Kong comes in to help Godzilla as well. And it's a really awesome fight. It's a really awesome fight. I mean, at first, yeah, it's Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and Mechagodzilla just beats up Godzilla. And then I guess part of that is because Godzilla had to use a lot of his energy on King Kong, and he did take a beating as well, so he's kind of winded going into this fight. So Mechagodzilla is about to kill Godzilla. So then King Kong comes in, helps, and so basically it's like a tag team. The two are doing their number on him, and then it eventually ends with King Kong. He's got his axe. He's trying to get the jump on Mechagodzilla. Godzilla blasts the atomic gravity axe, which absorbs it, and so Kong uses that to slice up the Mechagodzilla. And my favorite part of that whole fight is you have the group at the Apex facility watching. You see Kong slice Mechagodzilla, and then they're like, you just cut them up and like, yeah. And in my mind, I'm like, everyone, the audience reaction right there. Literally, that's what I was thinking in my head. And so Godzilla and King Kong basically finishes Mechagodzilla. He slices the limbs off, and then eventually cuts his chest open, grabs the head, rips it off, and then he's like, ah! Oh, this fight was awesome. I think in like 10 years, we're gonna look back on this movie and say, yeah, that movie was stupid, but we didn't care. You wanted to see King Kong versus Godzilla, and then Mechagodzilla versus King Kong and Godzilla, so it's like, that's really all we cared about. And that's honestly, that's basic. If you go into this movie with full on seriousness and you're expecting like this amazing story with amazing characters and amazing fights and everything amazing, you're not gonna be 100% satisfied. I mean, in my opinion, the focus of this movie was just the battle between Godzilla, King Kong, and I mean, don't get me wrong, the Hollow Earth storyline was pretty cool. I like that idea. I like where they go with it. The Mechagodzilla storyline, though it has its importance, I felt like you could have dropped it. I mean, you could have dropped the build up to Mechagodzilla, and we still would have gotten the same result of like, oh, shit, Mechagodzilla. But again, that's just me. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this film. I mean, it's definitely better than Batman v Superman. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy I saw Batman v Superman just for the fight. But again, this one at least had more reason as to why they are fighting. So, and also, I just like the fact that they do team up. They team up, they beat Mechagodzilla, then they pretty much go their separate ways. Godzilla goes back to the ocean, Kong goes back to Hollow Earth, and I mean, I think that's where they're gonna leave it. I mean, in terms of the two, I don't know if the MonsterVerse is gonna continue after this, because where do you really go after this? I mean, really, the only thing I can possibly imagine is you do a movie of Kong in Hollow Earth. That's pretty much all I can see. I mean, you could have your rematch between Kong and Godzilla, but I mean, there has to be a solid reason as to why they're gonna fight the second time around. Because again, as they leave them off in this one, you know, they pretty much had a truce. You know, it's like because Kong saved Godzilla from death, so you know it makes sense that the two are left off. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I, I mean, I'm down. If they do another one, I'm down for it as long as it makes sense. Again, I want some logic in these films. I don't want like zero logic and just being like, here, whatever you want. But, alright. Alright, so, alright, hope you guys enjoyed that. If you liked it, leave a like. If you want to comment about it, leave a comment. If you want to subscribe, you can subscribe. You don't have to. I'm not asking you to. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and see you in the next one.